Hi, today I'll teach you how to use an equalizer in just 10 minutes. My name's Roman Sticks, let's get started. What can EQ do? See how just equalization can transform your mix. Let me show you an example where only the EQ has been adjusted. Let's listen to this track with and without all these EQs. This is why the equalizer is one of the most important tools for a sound engineer, even more crucial than a compressor. So, what is an equalizer? Let's break it down simply without overcomplicating things. You probably understand what a mixing console is. It controls the volume of different channels, such as kick drum, bass, vocals, keyboards. By adjusting the faders, you control the level of each instrument. An equalizer works similarly, but instead of controlling different instruments, it controls specific frequencies within a sound. Think of each EQ band as a fader for certain frequencies. One band, for example, controls the fundamental tone of the kick drum. Another band enhances the click or bitter noise. And another one reduces muddiness. Now it sounds muddier. Now we can reduce it. The EQ allows you to shape the sound by making individual components of the frequency spectrum louder or quieter. Types of equalizers. First, graphic EQ. It has fixed bands divided across the frequency range, and is great for quick adjustments, very convenient. Also, we have parametric EQ. Adjustable frequency, gain, and Q factor, or bandwidth, and it's ideal for precise sound sculpting. We may find some annoying component of the sound and remove it or just decrease it. Also, we have digital equalizers or analog equalizers. By saying analog, I also mean plugins which modeled after analog EQs. So digital EQs like FabFilter Pro-Q, for example, are clean and transparent with no added color, which is great. Analog modeled EQs such as Brit 73 based on Neve or DV Tube Shelf based on Pultec introduce harmonic distortion for warmth and character. Look, this is our test tone, and you see, now we have Pro-Q from FabFilter turned on, and whatever I do here, it doesn't have any harmonics added, so only our test tone. But if I'll switch to another EQ, which is DV Brit 73, look, there's a lot of harmonics added. This is analog modeled EQ. It makes it easier for the sound to cut through the mix. We'll be switching between two plugins. One is Pro-Q 3 and another one is analog modeled DV Brit 73 from 3-body technology. Equalization is about the same, but listen how these analog harmonics make the sound more prominent in the mix. Let's start with Pro-Q 3. It doesn't mean that one equalizer is better than the other, but the task is a little bit different. If you want to make some precise cuts or even boosts but without adding any color, FabFilter is the way to go. But if you want to enrich the sound using this analog style harmonic, then analog EQ will be the winner. Now let's talk about understanding the frequency spectrum. Humans can hear a frequency range from 20 Hz to 20,000 Hz. Bass 20 to 200 Hz adds weight and depth. Lower mid-range from 200 to 500 Hz gives warmth and body, but too much can also cause muddiness. Mid-range from 500 to 2000 provides clarity, definition.
I bet that you thought you had me
upper mid-range from 2 to 5 kHz brings brightness, articulation, and attack. High frequencies from 5 to 20 kHz adds air and sparkle, but if you'll add too much, it also may sound harsh. So each part of the spectrum contains some very important areas of your sounds. For example, in a kick drum, you'll find the main tone somewhere between 50 and 80 Hz. Second overtone somewhere between 100 and 200. Boxiness between 300 and 500. Attack and click somewhere between 3 and 6 kHz. In the snare drum, you'll find its body somewhere around from 100 to 250 Hz. Let's add some solid basement. Also, you'll find its tone around 1-2K. You'll find its attack between 3 and 6 kHz. And also, you'll find some air between 8 and 12 kHz. This will sound especially good with analog model EQs. Let's add some air. We have 12K selected. Without it. With it. Maybe we need to add some more main tone. We also may boost the main tone here, in analog EQ, and try to boost it. Now it's small and now it's much bigger. In vocals, you'll find fundamental tone somewhere between 80 to 300 Hz. Body and clarity around 300 to 700. Trying to find a way to survive when the world we knew is out of sight. Presence around 2 to 5 kHz. Openness around 8 to 12 kHz. And even higher, it's also a usable range. It can also improve openness and sparkle. In this analog style EQ, we have this shelf filter, which can increase all higher frequencies, which will open the voice. But if we'll overuse it, it will be harsh. Let's check before and after. Trying to find a way to survive. Don't forget to grab my mixing presets. Download my huge preset pack for iZotope Ozone. It contains over 400 presets for all types of instruments, from drums to vocals and synthesizers. These presets will save you time and help you achieve professional quality mixes easier. Now let's talk about what is phase and why does it matter. So phase refers to the alignment of sound waves over time. Lots of EQs shifts frequencies out of phase. When EQ shifts frequency out of phase, it can result in loss of clarity clarity, weakening of low-end punch, blurring of transients. And most of equalizers do shift phases. I'll show you what it does. For example, now we're watching how this EQ affects frequency. So obviously we can boost frequency, we can decrease frequency, and we'll see it here on the graph. But also we have phase analysis here. You may see that phase is shifting. But if we'll use linear phase EQ, for example like this one, watch what happens. Sure, it moves frequency, like we can boost it, we can cut it, but the phase remains unchanged. Look, no matter what I'm doing here on the EQ, we don't have any phase shifts. Linear phase EQs prevent phase shifts, obviously, keeping the timing of all frequencies aligned. And this is essential for mastering, ensuring transparency across the frequency spectrum. Also, it helps a lot in low-end correction. However, linear phase EQs introduce latency and pre-ringing. Pre-ringing affects transients of the drums, for example. So that's why it's not a good idea to use linear phase EQs for separate drums. Monitoring is very important for your accurate EQ decisions. Your listening environment impacts what you hear. If your room isn't acoustically treated, resonances can mislead your EQ decisions. For example, you might reduce bass just because your room amplifies it, even though the track lacks low end. And if you can't afford professional acoustic treatment of your room, you may use headphones. So headphones can help, but they have their own frequency colorations. Tools like Waves NX, Waves Studio, Sonarworks, or Realphones can correct headphones' frequency response, ensuring what you hear reflects the real sound. I often use Waves Abbey Road Studio on my master channel. I'm switching between near field, mid field, and far field, and comparing my work with reference tracks. Also, sure, I use the real monitors, consumer speakers, and a lot of different monitoring devices to be sure how it will translate to the real world. Another important thing is to use reference tracks. Always compare your mix with professional reference tracks and do it at the same volume, because our perception of frequencies changes with volume. This phenomenon known as the Fletcher-Munson curve. This is why I recommend you to use plugins like, for example, Reference by mastering the mix, which automatically matches loudness and provides visual comparisons between your track and the reference. For example, I may compare the vocal I'm mixing with some famous vocal, like now I'll do it with Robbie Williams. And we'll try to notice how bright vocal is or how deep it is.
Before I fall in love, caught between the lines, trying to parent to love waits.
So Robbie Williams' vocal in this track is really bright. So we may do the same, and we're listening at the same volume. Look, we have level match activated. I can just open my EQ and add a little bit of top end to make it sound the same as vocal of Robbie Williams.
Before I fall in love, between the lines, trying to find the fate. Before I fall in love when the world.
And we also may add a little bit of bottom here.
Before I fall in love, between the lines, trying to find.
So that's how we're using equalizer, and that's how we're using reference tracks. And all the same with each and every instrument. So you may listen to the bass, compare it to some other mixes, to your drums, do it on the same volume, and that's the key. By the way, now we've been using only EQ, no compression, no anything. That's all for today's lesson on equalization. I hope you found it helpful. If you have any questions or want me to cover more topics, drop a comment below. Also, don't forget to check out my mixing presets. And please like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon to stay updated. See you next time.